Hi there, it's Riikka from Paperiliitin vlog here today, making a beachy kind of project on top of a piece of weathered wood. And I'm going to use a couple of different mediums making this, and also making my very own sand paste and showing how to create these kinds of splashes with acrylic paint. But let's get started. If you don't have a piece of weathered wood like this, you can naturally use a canvas as the base. Maybe color it first with either wood or beachy kind of colors, because if you're using white surface then it might be too pale, but because of the wood is a bit weathered and dark, the light shades go well because of the contrast. This used to be a thick piece of wood, but my father is a carpenter, so I got him to make it smaller, make it narrower, so to say. So the first thing I'm doing, let's bring back the sample again. I'm not sure if, yeah, here. I'm making the sand paste first, as it's the bottom layer. So for that, I'm using 3D matte gel and some kind of it can be anything, it can be your palette, but I just had this plastic bag from the flowers, so I'm using that one. And then to make it grainy, I'm adding UT, which is ultra thick embossing enamel. So it's little grains of plastic. Hi Debbie! Thank you all for coming, by the way, and for the birthday wishes. Let's mix these two first, because if I add another ingredient, maybe it will go all over the place. So like that. And to have it, because sand has different size of grains, there's the bigger ones and the smaller ones. So I'm also adding these tiny little beads. For the grainy effect. And all the supplies are listed in the event page. So you can find out the UT, well, you can get it from many brands, I think. Wow has some of the thick embossing enamel, and as you can see, the little beads are from 13 Arts, but Prima also has similar. They are a bit bigger, so I like these better. So now that we have the kind of base of the paste, hey Malla! And hi Carmen! Hi everybody! Oh, sorry, I'm getting distracted. So this will dry as clear. So if I would just use this one, then I would need to add color on top. But we can color the actual paste, and for that I'm using just a couple of mists. Because of the paste is white, so it's a bit weird looking right now. And also the white affects to the color, so it's a bit surprising when you see the actual color. I think more yellow is needed, I'm not sure. Let's see how it works. But you can always add color on top if it turns bad, or if you're really precise, you can always make little swatches, try out first, and then, but well, I'm kind of just go with the flow type of thing. So tomorrow I'll see if the colors were good or not. And as you can see, I'm just using the silicone brush to add the paste to the board. And let me show you this one again. As you can see, the main composition is quite in the center of the board, so there's no use for me to put lots of the self-made paste underneath it all because it doesn't show. So I'm concentrating more to the ends and making kind of thick layer in places, and then just kind of cleaning my brush to the others. So there's like a sand residue, like you've been to the beach and then bring home some of the sand in your flip-flops or whatever, like that. That's the first layer. This we can throw away. Put it there right now. And I forgot the rag, sorry. Just cleaning the brush real quickly. This is a well-loved brush, so it has some residue already. But yeah, then onwards. For the next layers, let me grab the sample again, sorry. You can see there's a lot of things happening in the background. I tried to think about shapes or materials that reminded me about beach or sea or fishing, and I thought Punchinella had some kind of well, it's kind of fish scales or net type of thing, so I'm just cutting it randomly. And I think maybe you know what Punchinella is, but for those of you who don't, it's the leftover from making sequins. Each little circular hole is where a sequin was punched out, and I think the first pieces were like thrown out, and then somebody discovered like they are beautiful on their own. They also make a perfect little stencils. So there we go. And also to bring that kind of beachy effect is this kind of mesh tape. I'm not sure where this one is from because it's tinted, it's blue, but the white version is available, at least here in Finland, in how do you say it, hardware stores. And the fun part is that it's adhesive, so you can just use it as it is, but because of the wet layers I'm adding mediums on top so it would stick. So let's start with these, just here and there. And at first, here where the wood is dry, it will stick immediately, but drywall tape, yeah, that's the word in English. I think you have, in the America, you have kind of this styled drywall tape as well, because we don't have it. I've more than one occasion envied you for it, because it's another cool pattern, and if you have that, you can perfectly use that one instead of Punchinella. Let's add that one there, this one here, and as you can see, these won't stick first, but when we add everything on top, I hope it will be okay. At least it was with the other project, especially the Punchinella, because it's been stored, so it's warped a little. Was giving me a hard time. But when we add all the flowers and everything on top, it will be good. One more. Let's put it there. Okay, it didn't want to go there. Maybe there, but it needs something to stick on. Hi, Jasmine. You are perfectly on time, no worries. I'm just been messing about. So to kind of add a froth, I'm thinking that's maybe the word, that the waves have, I'm using modeling paste. But at least in the other project I ended up covering it almost everything, but let's add it here anyway. It's kind of, because it's a thick paste, so it will help to place the punchinello or everything in place. Of course, if you want, you can use gel medium as the adhesive for these as well. But I'm more like winging it, how do you say, as I go along. I'm not that precise, I'm just doing. Maybe like that first, and then one more or two more items for the background. There is a lot already, but still we can add, for example, cotton thread. Again, this was something that reminded me of nets, so it goes to the beachy theme. And then, of course, cheesecloth. Sorry, I'm a bit lost for words today. And all of these items you can use in another project as well. Just change the colors, and for example, if you don't add the sprays to that one, or add maybe a touch of gesso, you can get snow type of paste to be used in Christmas card or other Christmas-like projects, maybe a Christmas canvas. I'm also making kind of a central place for my main composition. And again, because everything is coming on top, they will stick eventually. And if they don't, I can always go back and add something underneath. So here's kind of the background. Let me show you. Here you can see it's there, the paste, and the thread goes here. And then let's see if I now ruin it, because it will stick to the brush. I'm adding a little bit more the modeling paste, just enough to give it a bit kind of adhesive, so it won't go everywhere when I start adding the layers on top. Here we go. Yeah, there's a lot of texture here underneath it all. So let's bring out a couple of mixtures. You can either do this now or skip it, because hi Petra, because well, me again show you the finished version. I actually sprayed the mists here, but there's very little showing through after all the layers. There's some there maybe, but if you're going for an under the water kind of look, you can naturally first make the composition and then color it, because then you're also coloring the seashells. But let's just add some color here, like so. Get rid of these. And now it's really, really wet. Let's get modeling paste sharp, like that. And as I use the 3D gel for the self-made sand paste, I'm also using it as an adhesive to add all the embellishments, the flowers and the seashells. My kind of idea was that you visit a beach and you gather, for example, a piece of wood and some seashells, maybe little twigs or something from the beach, and then you can make a canvas to kind of remind you of the trip or the day. But unfortunately we don't have these kinds of lovely seashells around here, so I need to buy them just to show you. But that was my idea, to make something you can make after a trip to the beach or a vacation. That's a bit too big maybe. So for the embellishments, I'm just using, maybe I'm doing this way, not totally mimicking the other one. Let's see how it goes. But I'm using a couple of flowers, but they are not that beachy. I'm more concentrating to the seashells and to these little beauties. These are the Melange art pebbles. They are plastic, kind of, they're not even half beads, but these kind of lens looking things. And to me, they look like bubbles. So I'm just attaching them here and there. And finally, I'm painting them with a shiny paint so they look like pearls or as bubbles. Hi, Helen. Thank you for coming today. There one. And let's see if I have a bit bigger ones. And I'm trying to, I'm not sure. Let me see if I can show you. No, it's not focusing on the seashell. Now, I'm kind of building a blob onto the other side, because of course you can fill the whole thing, but that takes quite a lot of the material or the medium. So I'm building this kind of ledge to the other edge to make it stick, because gel medium is really heavy duty stuff, so it will stay. But what it needs is drying time. So, oh sorry, now it's out of focus. Come on, please focus here now. Come on. Maybe if I move this around. Sorry. I always forget about that. No, thank you. It's out of focus. When I shift something, it won't automatically focus again. Like that. Maybe another flower. Maybe if I make something here and something here, totally different. And then I have the leaves too. Let's have that one there. Let me just add this one and then I tell how I made it. Let's get rid of that for moment. So these are kind of self-made chipboard embellishments, and you need two things. You need a die. I used this one, C6 Tim Holtz Alterations, called Scroll. It has two of these leaves, and then I used this one as my material, coaster. Naturally, you can use anything, but I really love that the other side is kind of vanilla colored, milky white, and it's thick, so you don't have to do naturally anything to it. You can use it as such. And let's put that one there. Oh, and now that I mentioned the C6, if you are from Europe or Asia or Australia, actually, well, it's easier to say if you're outside Canada and USA, I'm sorry. There's a giveaway in C6 that has one of the machines and a whole lot of dies. So if you want to participate, I'm sure Jasmine will put the link soon for the giveaway, and I can also after the show add it to the event page. But unfortunately it's not for those who are from Canada and USA, because they are for or they belong to C6 US, and everybody else goes to the other, I think. Sorry. What was the cardboard for the embellishments? Coasters. Like, yeah, cardboard coaster like you have in a bob to put your glass, or how do you call it? Mug? No? Well, your beer on top. Like so. Thank you, Jasmine, for the link. Oh, and those of you who are watching the recording, the link is in the event. Facebook event. So if you don't know the event site, you can always go to Artist Live Facebook page and then find the event from there. What do you think? I'm kind of liking, because now there's like how do you say it? A little fountain, or like lake. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry. I'm totally out of words today. Here we go. Maybe some of the smaller flowers too. It's always good to use different size of embellishments when making composition, because the huge one draws the eye in, and then you need something kind of accompany it. The smaller one. Is that too big? Yeah, that's too big. Ooh, that's a lovely little rose. I don't want to go all the way there. Maybe here. Maybe I should have just followed the original design. Nope. What about there? Nope. Sorry, I'm struggling. But yeah, there. If you are struggling with the composition, there's a few tricks. Well, the first trick is to be hard-headed and not give up and just keep adding stuff. And usually the project turns out fine. Or then you can do this. Flip it around 180 degrees, because then you have a new pair of eyes and look at it from another angle, and maybe that helps. With a project like this, you can't actually use a mirror because the other one would be taking it up, looking it through a mirror, because again you're seeing it in a different angle. Different angle. But as something as wet as this, it might actually not work, or everything falls off, which again gives you the benefit of starting over again. I'm just adding and adding. Maybe we'll just move on. I can then finish this later, kind of. And also, if you use the colors on top, it will totally transform. Any kind of flowers, sorry, with a kind of beachy colors are easy, but naturally, if you don't have the correct colors, you can use anything and then just turn them white with gesso. Okay, let's be happy with that, at least for now. And then just one thing to kind of gather the attention is this thing. I love this thing. The wire thread. It's so easy because it's coming from the reel already with perfect circles. So you can have your really easy light type of frame that kind of draws the eye in, gives it kind of center of attention type of thing. It's lightweighted. You can mold it if you want to make a heart, for example, you can make it. But I'm kind of liking always the circular shape because it goes to any project. And like with thread, if you're using just normal thread, I would not recommend to glue it down like every single little piece, because then you lose it softness. And kind of this, I love that it's kind of shaking in a way, and it's loose. So I'm just trying to tuck it here and there underneath the embellishments. As you could see, I lift one of the seashells. I'm starting to sound like Sean Connery. Seashells up and put it underneath. So there's a place where it's actually adhering, but the rest of it is going to be just like this. I'm thinking if I can make it bigger, this piece. I would like to do so, but it's not coming. Maybe there. Just lifting that one up. Maybe a bit more because it had started to. already at here. Here we go. Let's just keep it in place for, well, I would flip it if I had to turn my protein up and down. Yeah. Yeah, Norway. That's really beautiful. I really like Norway. I've been there just once, but I definitely need to go back. I love the sea. And here in Finland, there's not, I'm not sure if there's any place, but at least the places where I have visited, there's always the archipelago and the islands kind of blocking the view. Of course, they are lovely looking, but you can see the whole horizon. And I could stare at the horizon for hours. It was gorgeous when I was in Norway. So, back to the project. Sorry, me rambling just from some other part. But here's the thing right now. There's maybe it's looking better tomorrow because, for example, these are still wet. These are still wet. These are still wet. So when you're making a three-dimensional project with a lot of mediums, try to be patient. It's not my best virtue when crafting, but the project will look different when it's dry. Because, for example, gel medium, it's white in the jar, but dries clear. So, for example, these pearls that are now looking like milky, they will turn clear underneath. Naturally, we're painting them, but if you're using something like this, also try to think what you put underneath. If you want to use this as clear, then you need to paint or make sure that when you're adhering it, anything underneath is the way you want it, or then you need to paint over it. To the sequin dye, you mean this one? I don't actually know a dye, but there's Prima has confetti dyes that are small circles, but I'm sure there should be some kind of sequin style of dye. Okay, I'm just rambling, sorry. We still have things to do. 30 minutes to do it, but still have things to do. So let's get started or continue with the project. Let's do this one first. So to make the beads or the pebbles look like pearls, I'm using a pearly paint. It's quite new from Finnabar. This is actually not the actual jar as you can see, but the color is metallic white pearl. If you use a couple of layers, you can get it like solid. It's not solid, the word I'm looking for. Not translucent. How do you say it? Because this paint is not covering, as you can see, it's not totally, it's a bit see-through, a bit translucent. Oh God, what's the word in English? But if you use a couple of layers, naturally the translucent will be not see-through anymore. I'm hoping, I'm checking the chat if somebody can help me with the word. But I'm hoping that you realize what I try to say. But let me show you from here, because you can see anything that's underneath. It has the pearly effect on top, but it's not totally, not opaque. Opaque, thank you, Joanne. That's the word. Oh, I'm sorry. It seems my brain is a mash. Yeah, I can't even say that one. Sorry. But yeah, giving them a couple of coats of the pearly paint. Naturally, if you want to make the seashells shiny as well, you can go over them as well, or the flowers or anything. It gives them a really lovely shine. Here we go. And as it's acrylic paint, it dries really fast, so you don't have to wait long. For a project like this, of course, you can use your heat tool, but as there's a lot of mediums that are wet right now, there's always a little hazardous thing. For example, the self-made sand paste. If you heat it, at least if you heat it too much, then the UT that we use to make the grains will melt, and then it's not grainy anymore. So for this kind of project, and at least for the grainy effect to stay, it's better to leave it overnight to dry, leave it air dry. Hi Hella. Thank you, Hella. It's great to hear that you like the project. I'm not too fond of the composition with this piece, but I'm sure it will be good. So next I'm sharing a trick to make the paint splashes. Of course, if you just take paint and use a lot of force, you can get it to flick and to stay kind of three-dimensional, because the thing is, if you dilute paint, it will get off the brush more easily, but then it's also more fluid, so it kind of, even acrylic paint, it's kind of merging into the background a bit, not staying upright or puffy. So the thing is to, well, of course you could use gel medium as well, liquid version, because that adds some liquidness to it, but not make it so fluid. But this is just glue, and then we add water. Strawberry. Somebody has been strawberry picking. Good. Color of the paint. I'm guessing you mean this one. It's azure. A lovely teal type of turquoise color. My favorite. So let's mix this up. And the impasto paints are really heavy body. I've had them for a little while now, not too long, so I've not been completely playing with them, but I tried to make a jelly print with these and, well, put a few spots on the jelly plate and then thought like I'm making a print, but they are, as they are too heavy body for that, I realized. Of course, it was a lovely effect because the paint, even though I used the, come on, what's the word? Sorry, now I feel bad. Well, the paint roller. So it left these kind of splotches behind, but naturally you could use, for example, soft gel to make it a bit more fluent. So it's good. For example, for the high kind of 3D effect, it's perfect because it's so heavy body. You can really use it to make texture. And with matte or gloss soft gel, you can make your own washes, acrylic washes, so that's good. So I just mixed the acrylic paint, impasto paint, water, and some glue. And like you can see, I can get these kind of droplets that are kind of staying poofy or raised. The effect is different from if you just use diluted paint. And if you want to take those kind of Jackson Pollock swatches, this is the way to do it. Or actually high speed, then you really need to use force, so it just flies off the brush. As I'm working in our living room, I'm not daring to do that right now. Oh, good. I just read the chat that somebody learned something new today. I'm happy that I'm able to give some kind of ideas or hints. Of course, you can always try and mix things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But usually you just have fun and can make something unique. So, last details. Are we? Yeah, we are on time. So, when I had the project like this, the first one, I felt that it needed a little something. Not much, but a little something. So, as the final touch, I added some beads. And of course, you can use white ones, or you can use maybe mix of green and blue, especially if you're using colors on top of the flowers and make it kind of underwater, undersea looking. But I chose to use the butter color versions. I love their warm shine. They're like little golden ones. If you have the soft matte gel or a soft gloss gel even, you can use that. But as I didn't want to have too many mediums, let's put it there. You can either dilute the 3D gel with water, or then you can use tacky glue. Let me show you both versions. And as these layers are at least somewhat wet on top still, the beads can stick in there too. So if you want to have a precise spot for the beads, either sprinkle them really carefully or then wait and add them tomorrow. Yeah, that's the right word, sorry. When everything else is actually dried. So this is another version. Or then I usually use this one. So let's add here, for example. I just used a regular glue, the tacky glue. And if I would now sprinkle the beads on top, it would look a bit silly because it's just a blob. And then I go over it with a paintbrush to kind of hide the edge. And then I sprinkle the beads on top. Hi, Monica. Maybe I'll go over the project if you want, if it's not too boring, like what I did. So And naturally there is the recording, at least it says it's recording, so you can go back. Here we go. It's about done. If you want, if these shapes now look too white, in this project they don't, but if they do, you can always go over with actual tea, or then mist called tea stain, or watercolor, and kind of just take them a bit more off-white. When the paper gets wet, it's a bit more darker, the shade, than it's going to be in the end. But if you like the white color, then just leave it like it is. Or even if you want it whiter, then you can naturally use white acrylic paint or gesso on top. Maybe a bit of gesso to the flowers still, kind of to make it look mine. A bit here and there. Like I used the modeling paste underneath for the foam, sea foam. Then just a touch here and there. And also if you add color, any kind of color, to ready-made flowers, they always kind of merge into the project more. Luckily these flowers also have the splashes, so they are kind of merging in, or they are part of the project. Kiitos. Kiva kun tykkäätte. Let's try to flip it. Yeah, the flipping was good, because now I really like this side more than the other one. Naturally, you should make the composition so that it looks good both ways. So maybe I need to add something later today or tomorrow. But here we have, and we're finishing a bit early, and not too early, like I usually do. So let me go really quickly over the project as we have time, and if you have any questions, just please type them to the chat or message me on Facebook or anything, and I'll try to answer you. And let me just say right now that thank you for coming. It really means a lot. So let's go over really quickly. So the background is a self-made paste, sand paste, with maybe three kind of is a minimum ingredient, but I used actually 5. So the base of the paste is gel medium, matte version, because the sand is not that glossy, but naturally you can use the gloss one too, just the finish is different. Then the UT to make kind of the smaller grains to the sand, and some kind of seed beads to make that larger. Naturally you can use actual sand mixed with the gel medium. But, well, if you're not living nearby a beach, or if you're afraid of using something that's straight from the nature, then you can use these, and mist for coloring. And you can use any kind of colorant. Mica powders, then it's really shiny kind of sand, or watercolors, but I used 2 mists. The other one is brown and the other one is yellow, kind of trying to mix them for a beachy kind of look. Then on top I added texture with items that reminded me of the sea. So there's the drywall tape, the mesh tape I call it. Then there's punchinella, which is a sequin kind of residue. You can get that one too. And then there's just cotton twine and cheesecloth. Just different kind of elements with all like the mesh kind of or knit kind of feeling to them. And to make them stick, I press them into the sand paste, but also used some modeling paste, kind of seafoam-y thingy. Then on top, I added the embellishments using the gel medium as the adhesive, some self-made chipboard pieces with a Sizzix die, some Prima flowers, and then the melange pebbles for bubbles or pearls. And after the composition was done, then I kind of frame it with the wire thread, just a few swirls of it, and then I painted the melange pebbles with the pearly paint, also added touches to the seashells here to make them pearly. And then the splashes with acrylic paint mixed with glue and some water, then just flick it, and finishing with the little pearly details with the glass beads. Really fast forward thingy. Now I'm going to see the chat if there's questions, but let me just say thank you and stop recording. And well, yeah, please stay online for a while if you have any questions, that is. And if you're watching the recording and have questions, please either email me or message me on Facebook, and I'll try to answer you as soon as possible. So, thanks!